Egypt, one of the oldest countries in the world, and home to some of the most ancient megastructures on our planet. Now, the North African country is busy with yet another megaproject, a gigantic city that they're calling the new administrative capital of Egypt. But why exactly is Egypt building a lavish new capital when they already have Cairo? And are the country's true intentions behind this project more worrying than they'd like us to believe? Hey, I'm your host Regis, and today we're investigating exactly why Egypt is building an empty megacity. Dubbed the New Cairo by some media outlets, this new city is situated 45 kilometers east of the current capital, in a desert area the size of Singapore. The city has been under construction since 2016. The city will also have enough homes to house around 6.5 million people. For comparison, that's around a quarter of all citizens living in Cairo right now. The scale of this project is really big. The site already features the biggest mosque in Africa, a sports city stadium spacious enough to host the Olympics, and the iconic tower, which is now the official tallest building in Africa. But more importantly, the new administrative capital, or NAC for short, is set to become the new center of Egypt's government and house the presidential palace, the country's parliament, and most of the country's government agencies. But why? Why is Egypt moving its government to the outskirts of its current capital and away from the majority of the country's citizens? So the NAC is part of what's called the Egypt Vision 2030 project. This project, led by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, aims to improve the quality of life and standard of living for each and every Egyptian. You see, the population of Egypt has grown at an enormous rate over the past few decades. But that's not to say that everyone's flourishing, because around 60% of the country's citizens today are either living below or dangerously close to the poverty line. On top of that, living conditions in the country's capital are, to put it mildly, pretty damn challenging. Cairo, home to around 23 million people and counting, is currently experiencing a major housing crisis, and the city's population density is already staggering. There's been a huge drop in public investment in the city's housing sector, which in turn has led to low-income residents unable to afford formal housing. That's why millions of Cairo citizens today live in informal settlements. Here, their safety and security aren't guaranteed, because many of these buildings could collapse at any minute. On top of that, these residents can be evicted and relocated at any moment, and without any kind of due process. Then there's the fact that Egypt needs to accommodate the millions of refugees streaming in from war-torn Sudan. With most of these refugees shacking up in dense urban areas, rental prices are going up, making it difficult for many citizens to afford accommodations. And if you've ever been to Egypt's capital, you probably know about the city's problematic transportation situation. Traffic congestion in Cairo can be a nightmare, adding to more fuel consumption and terrible air quality. It's estimated that a third of the capital's air pollution is due to road transportation alone. Circling back for a second to Egypt Vision 2030, this project ultimately claims that it wants to address all of these issues by building bigger cities outside of Cairo. This way, at least in their thinking, people can relocate, and Cairo itself can become a little less congested. But is this the real goal behind the NAC? After all, this isn't the first time that the country is trying to build cities outside of Cairo to supposedly help ease overcrowding and strengthen their economy. During the last 4 decades, Egypt has built dozens of what they call desert cities outside the capital to alleviate Cairo's congestion. But many of these cities aren't really providing the majority of Egyptians with alternative housing. Take Sadat City, built in the late 70s between Cairo and Alexandria under former Egyptian President Anwar Sadat. The plan was not only to attract more of Cairo's citizens to this new city, but also to make it the new administrative capital of Egypt. That, of course, never happened, and Sadat City today is home to just around 80,000 people. Other newly built cities, like Sheikh Zayed City, quickly turned into gated private communities for the rich, which, isn't exactly going to help solve Egypt's poverty problem, right? Well, nevertheless, the country insists that this is what they're trying to do with Egypt Vision 2030 and the NAC. Okay, so the obvious question then is, how will the NAC be different from the other desert cities? And why this location in particular? Before we dive into that, we quickly want to thank our long-term partner CyberGhost VPN for sponsoring this video. Have you ever hesitated to connect to a public Wi-Fi network in a restaurant, hotel, or airport for fear that someone might steal your information? Well, here's the solution. CyberGhost VPN, one of the best VPN services on the market that encrypts your information and protects you while you browse the internet safely. With over 38 million users worldwide and a near-perfect score on Trustpilot, CyberGhost VPN is one of the most recommended services on the market. A VPN is essential for protecting your digital privacy. Your internet service provider, public Wi-Fi, or even websites can track what you do online. But with CyberGhost VPN, all of your traffic is encrypted and your IP is hidden, keeping you completely anonymous. On top of that, you can use CyberGhost VPN on up to 7 devices at the same time, be it your mobile, computer, or tablet, and you can even share it with your friends and family. It's perfect for protecting all of your devices. Plus, CyberGhost VPN lets you unblock exclusive content from platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more in other countries. Change your virtual location in a couple of clicks and enjoy the United States catalog or any library that's not available in your particular region. And if you're still not sure, CyberGhost offers a 45-day money-back guarantee. Check them out at cyberghostvpn.com/megabuilds for 84% off and 4 months for free, and start browsing safely. Thanks again to CyberGhost VPN for sponsoring this video, and now let's take a closer look at Egypt's new megacity. Looking at the plans and design of the NAC, we can already see some of the thinking going on here. This map shows how the western side of the city, the part that's closest to the road leading back to Cairo, will mainly be used as a residential area. Here, you'll find houses and apartment buildings that take up most of the space, with offices, medical centers, and commercial businesses situated in between. The presidential zone and all government entities, however, are located at the very far east of the city, with 16-lane highways further isolating the state authorities from the commercial zone, and ultimately, Cairo itself. As some people who have visited the NAC have pointed out, the city was clearly not designed to be walkable. Oh, and construction has already begun on the Octagon, the new headquarters of the Egyptian Ministry of Defense. Satellite images from August of last year show this military complex being built right above the Olympic City and close to the government district. So yeah, it kinda looks like this city is more about accommodating the Egyptian government and military than the poor people of Egypt. And the more you look at the city and its strategic design, the more red flags start to pop up. Now, as we all know by now, if you want to get to the bottom of something, you simply need to follow the money. Well, with that in mind, let's see how much of this mega project has been completed to date, and who is funding this huge megacity. According to available reports, it seems like most of Phase 1 should be done right now, meaning the completion of about 168 square kilometers. Phase 2, which covers the same size area, is expected to be completed by 2027. The presidential palace and the country's new parliament have been built, and construction on the Green River Park that will snake through the city is currently underway. Updates from 2024 reveal that about 100,000 housing units have been completed, and that several government entities, major banks, and businesses have relocated to the NAC. The original idea was to move the country's government to the NAC by mid-2020, but delays caused by the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in the timeline being pushed out. The Egyptian parliament eventually started operating at their new headquarters in April of 2024, but just look at the sheer scale we're talking about here. This doesn't look like a normal city built to house millions of Egyptians currently suffering in the slums. This looks way more lavish, way more stately, and most importantly, super expensive. At the moment, this $58 billion venture is funded by the Administrative Capital for Urban Development, which is an Egyptian state-owned enterprise. But here's where things get interesting, because 51% of this enterprise is owned by Egypt's military, while the rest falls under the country's housing ministry. This means that while the military is theoretically paying for this city, they're also reaping a lot of the benefits of it along the way. For one, they're the ones selling the housing units in this opulent new development. They also have full financial control over the buildings, embassies, and other agencies that will be left abandoned in Cairo when the move to the NAC is complete. Not only will the military score financially once this megacity is fully up and running, but these gains will also escape inspection, because civil authorities don't have much oversight when it comes to the finances of Egypt's military. This is all thanks to the fact that Egypt's military has enjoyed a lot of autonomy since the 2010s, and their budgets are, conveniently, considered classified. If you're getting a bit lost here, here's a quick refresher. The country is run by the former commander-in-chief of the Egyptian Armed Forces, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the same man who became president by leading the 2013 Egyptian military coup that overthrew then-President Mohamed Morsi. Since taking over power, el-Sisi has sworn to rectify the economic devastations the country has experienced since the initial 2011 Egypt revolution against the anti-democratic government of Hosni Mubarak. That revolution played out in the center of Cairo, or more specifically in Tahrir Square. It's here where crowds of angry citizens gathered, mobilized, and clashed with Mubarak's military. It's also here where thousands of Egyptians came together and demanded Morsi's resignation in 2013. This public site of revolution in Egypt is also where many of the country's administrative buildings have been situated for years. Since el-Sisi came into power, he's not only upped security at Tahrir Square, but he's also added pharaonic monuments throughout the space, making it difficult for protesters to gather there. And now he's moving all government authorities to a city 45 kilometers away, where scores of protesters will have a really hard time bothering them. A city that sells itself on using smart infrastructure, when all that really means is having 6,000 surveillance cameras installed throughout the capital complex. Such strategic centering of state and military power echoes what happened in Myanmar, where a new capital city was built in the middle of nowhere to make civil uprising practically impossible. That megacity is now a ghost megacity. Another important question is whether Egypt can, in fact, afford to build a city as grand as the NAC. El-Sisi keeps insisting that no treasury funds are being used. According to him, funding comes from selling land within the city. But that isn't entirely true. The government has, in fact, borrowed billions of dollars from the banks and granted state-guaranteed loans to institutions tasked with developing the NAC, which directly ties that debt to the state. Given that the Egyptian pound has been tanking for some time now, none of this seems particularly helpful in trying to better the lives of struggling Egyptians. Okay, so given all of these challenges, can this megacity actually be completed? We'll get to that in a moment, but we just quickly want to take one quick second to thank you for watching our videos. If you like this video so far, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. Anyways, now let's see if Egypt's new capital city has any hope of completing what it set out to do. So far, Phase 2 seems to be well underway, with a grand opera house already built. Work is also being done on a theater and some museums, and around 70% of the city's industrial park has been sold to investors. 2 more phases are said to be under development, but exactly what they are is anyone's guess at this point. Authorities are saying that there are 5,000 families currently living in the NAC, and they hope that that number will double by the end of 2025. But with apartments going for around $50,000 in a country with a GDP per capita of just $3,000, time will tell which Egyptian citizens will end up truly benefiting from this new city. So, what do you think? Will this new capital city make Egypt thrive again? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think about this one. And if you want to try CyberGhost VPN, use our link for 84% off and 4 months for free, as well as 45 days money back guaranteed. Enjoy having full access to blocked content on the internet while browsing safely. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.